he had a horse that had surgery, so they can't get it out of the barn. So then they have to let 2 of them out of the barn and bring 2 in to keep that one company. And then he said after 4 hours, they switch them around because so the one horse in the barn, it was destroyed.
Oh my God.
Like 4 hours from well, like at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, they put them out. They put the first 2 out, and then 4 hours, he switches them around.
Wow.
Sounds like a lot of work.
All right, we're live.
Okay.
I think he's got one in. So
All right, let's start talking about testing.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of this is just a big status report about people attending the weekly meeting. Wednesdays, 1500 UTC right before the regular senior meeting, and I think it's gotten the conversation going around testing and gotten some visibility to the reviews. I think the Etherpad and been listing reviews. It's a nice thing because I think you don't see things that are in Infra or DevStack or Tempest, since they don't pop up on our channel. It's not on a lot of people's radar screen. So if you can help with reviews, I think that's, you know, what I noticed. People start paying attention on our team, then the Infra people will chime in after a couple +1s and it gets merged. So that helps a lot. I think a lot of it has sort of been us discovering how things work, and things like getting multi-node, which Mikkel's been driving, is, you know, kind of tricky. You know, nobody seems to have the expertise to say, oh, you want to add a new gate test with Cinder multi-node. Here's how you do it. Nobody on our team seems to like have it all. So we're all learning that I think is valuable. I've been doing the same with multi-backend. I think some of the patches are merged. It's blocked on some Tempest change that's owned by Andy Koparov. I think it's a Red Hat guy. It's not very active, so some help in getting with him. And I don't know if it means show up at the QA weekly meeting and saying, hey, there's a question about, you know, one person says use X and one person says use Y. That's what gets getting stuck, right? We'll do whatever you want. Just tell us what to do. So anyway, it's really just about visibility. We every Midcycle and every summit we talk about, oh, we need tests for backups, and we need tests, we need more functional tests. And there's all the usual conversations around improving our testing. So this is just an effort to sort of sit and talk about it once a week and push things forward. Lots of things like HA are going to need not just the tests written, but some structure to figure out how to do it with 2 nodes perhaps, or other plumbing within Infra. So it's basically just the point of bringing this up here now is just to say this exists. If you're not already coming to meetings, you know anybody on your teams, or if anyone comes in channel and says, I'd like to, you know, contribute to Cinder, what can I do? Test is a great way to get started. We've always got areas of testing that people can delve into to add some gaps to our functional testing, which there are some functional tests. So it's not that hard because the plumbing's all there, but there's not a lot. I don't know if anyone else has any things to add. Mikkel is on the line, obviously, I think. I don't know, Mikkel, if you have something to say about stuff, or if you need any specific help, or I think a lot of the stuff that we need is sort of out of our hands as far as Infra and QA needing to improve things.
So I think the main problem lately with the patches was that Sean Degg was at vacations, and he wasn't able to review the DevStack Gate patch. So it was stuck in review, and that's like critical patch for the multi-node stuff.
Hopefully we can get him back on that.
Yeah, I think he's at the Midcycle, Nova Midcycle. So he'll get back to reviewing stuff
Next week.
Yeah. So basically, everything is stuck in reviews. I think we've got it figured out, but well, it's moving slowly.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's the next step. I'm just looking up, unless someone knows when that is. Yeah, that's probably the next step. I've been I've sent something to ML. I'm trying to find somebody. Hey, would you consider coming to our weekly meeting and helping us out, maybe being our person? But no luck. So. All right. Well, I just wanted to bring it up as something that's being worked on. We've got a weekly meeting about it. So yeah, maybe. I don't know that even. I mean,
kind of defective.
Yeah, it could be that. I guess. I don't know if there's even a role. There's like people look for cross-project roles, and you can go somewhere on a wiki and see a chart. I don't know if such a thing exists on that chart or does it. Do you guys have something like that? You know?
There are people who work on Tempest who are just in the so it seems strange that no one on the Tempest community care about Cinder at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see a lot.
We get pinged from like Matt Ribbon because no low volume attached Tempest test is failing.
So there is a cross-project liaisons wiki, and there is a QA section. So there are various people that are signed up to be liaisons in QA, and Cinder is the only one that doesn't have one.
Okay, well there we go.
Literally every other project except Swift doesn't have one either. It's us and Swift.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to let that sit open for about a day or two, just in case somebody else who would like to. But if nobody wants to do that, I'll do it.
There really should be someone from Tempest.
Right. Well, you're right. The problem is I'm already doing what I'm doing, and it's only got us where we are. So you're right there.
So maybe if we go to the QA meeting, we can
find something.
Yeah.
And
Really, somebody there has a vested interest.
well, and I don't know that anybody I work with has a vested interest in making Cinder works, but I do work with people that are like QA cores. I see them.
Like probably Red Hat or Orange space. Yeah, there really is no one in that most of the
So I know Nova used to have a coverage extension for Tempest runs. Does anyone know if there's a way to get coverage on what actually gets hit doing Tempest?
You can now run the all the daemons under Tempest. Lisa proved that, but there's no kind of helpful way of doing it. You just have to go and edit the command lines of the daemons you want to change in Tempest at the moment. There's nothing scripted.
To get coverage on them?
Yeah, run them under Python-M coverage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because right now I don't know how much we're actually hitting, where our gaps are. Be interesting.
By non-comment line count, 38% is the number we got as a rough figure in China.
We have 38% coverage.
38% of non-comment lines of code and non-driver code gets executed in a Tempest run.
Oh.
But that's not actually analysed at all. That was just a quick figure we got from running it all and asking coverage for an answer.
It seems like Nova is just calling an external module for their coverage report.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Which might be the same thing that Duncan said.
Because they have a wiki page on their coverage extension. It just says it calls it external.
Top that says this was removed in Icehouse.
Can you add that wiki page to the Etherpad, please?
It's just an old page. There's Nova had a coverage extension in there, but it was removed in Icehouse. So the way that you're talking about is probably the only way right now.
Well, and unfortunately, you know, that's good to know those kind of things, and we also know some concrete gaps, but it's just a matter of.
Yeah.
I always cringe at the phrase we always say is, well, someone needs to do this, because the someone means no one, right? I mean, that's why testing doesn't get done, is we're all busy. So anyway, that's what this meeting and all stuff is about, is just to bring visibility and ask for help.
There's one thing on here is for the pretty CI periodic stuff. So
Yeah.
I've been working on getting like back HA CI stuff here. We're doing multi-node patches here. Like there's a spreadsheet somewhere. It's like you test matrix, like where I sleep comfortably at night, knowing that our code probably works. And it's like 150 jobs shy of where we're at today. So like, I don't want to run all of those on every patch set. Schedule not stuff. We don't really have a way for like writing the feedback to community. It's not. I know probably all the vendors here. I don't know if you know just like that. So it's just kind of a on here to see if anyone else is interested in having sort of more centralized dashboard or some place that you can kind of see like is everything actually working for all the drivers tracking and stuff. Yeah, status. This is probably the after, but it's before we release, right?
Because once it merges, you just find a bug, right? It'll growth me.
Yeah, but it's I guess it's nice to be able to like when you file a bug, you can go reference your public logs and say like, hey, you can see in this job what happened. If you're trying to figure out what happened, you don't know, right? It makes it
you're
easier.
actually doing a full lock dump of these extra tests that you're running.
Yeah, I mean it put them up just like the regular CI results on public log server. Yeah, do something like that. I don't know.
There are periodic jobs in infra, right?
Yeah.
Do they have any way of reporting, or how does it work for them?
So I looked into it. If they do have a way of reporting, it's not. There's no nice place to go see if things are working or not.
Or does it show up? I mean,
find any page on the status, like openstack-cinder. Yeah, we should.
They're running it, so there's got to be some results on there or available somewhere.
Yeah, and we can kind of we could emulate what they do. I would be extremely surprised if they let us put our stuff in there too. We can steal their code. Right. How to configure it all. But I guess it's because we're having so much trouble getting changes in for like DevStack-Gate and all this stuff to do active testing, things like that. Super easy for third-party CIs. I have a fork of DevStack-Gate that I use on my systems, and we do whatever the hell we want, right? So we can have that feedback much earlier. It's just we don't have a way to show anyone what happened, right?
Right. Well, it'll show people too if you're reviewing new patches, you're reviewing HA to say, oh look, it all works.
Right. Yes. And we can add stuff too, like there's the check experimental or run experimental, like the main Jenkins has experimental jobs and stuff like that. Anyone using Zool can do the same thing pretty easily with their third-party CI, right? So we could have something that's like pure storage, run experimental or run periodic or whatever. Yeah, and it'll run. You'll see 150 job results show up or whatever. Right?
You can compare a patch just by commenting on the patch.
Yeah, we could do something like that. I haven't started doing that just because it's extra noise in Carrot. I don't want one of the infra guys to go and just ban my CI. But,
yeah. But the problem is, so if you do that and then you say, okay, well, it failed. Right? So if I have a patch and I type this command and I see all the failures, what can I do? If it's, I don't have a pure system.
Right. That's why the reporting would at least help, because then you can look at the results and logs and say, have some kind of guidance as to where the failure was. Right? That's the point.
But I mean, it's better if these failures are reproducible with like an open source driver that anyone can reproduce the bug and anyone can go fix it, because then otherwise Patrick has to fix the bug.
Most of the like additional test stuff isn't pure specific, right? It's like running active Cinder, running 2 cvols, 2 schedulers, 2 APIs, right? Doing that stuff, things that we just don't cover in our gate right now. We're trying to, but it's taking a really long time.
I think the goal is that this is the first step towards getting this stuff in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have it's slow enough to get stuff into Cinder, which we have our processes. But getting stuff at the gate, I mean, weeks. It's only a few patches and a few lines, but it's really slow going. So reasonably.
So in the long run, this wouldn't be necessary.
The hope would be, I guess, that this is sort of, it's great to have as a way to start test out the patches, because it's also hard to see if your patch on or test that gate project big, because I don't have a system to like run locally. I just throw up a patch and hope it passes Jenkins, basically. It's just terrible. But it's not so easy to test, just like you would test a normal patch in DevStack. So that's sort of a nice. Of course, we have to get Patrick to do all the work, but at least there's somebody who has a sandbox and you can share how it gets.
I mean, yeah, it's easy too, right? Like I can have my CI pull from a GitHub fork of DevStack that you can just push into, right?
Right.
So we can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Well, that's cool. I mean, that's certainly useful.
So I guess it sounds like there's interest. Somebody to spend some more time actually trying to get it to a useful state.
Yeah. I mean, I started down the path of setting up a CI system to do just exactly the same thing. Aside from the fact of how hard CI is, so I'm going to revisit that, but it's quite possible that.
Why set up a new one? Just go fix the HP one.
That's out of my.
I think that sometimes maybe there's a too high of a tree for doing just the basic amount. I was wondering if maybe we could visit an idea of something in between unit tests and a full Tempest suite where you have to spin up all these different services.
Yeah, we got that.
What?
We've got that. There's functional tests.
Yeah, we have.
Wait.
Just nobody knows how to use them or write tests for it.
Okay.
Well, docs-e functional will run the existing tests. And the tests you can see as an example of how a couple things that are done. So it's the same old thing. Every meetup we say, yeah, we need more functional tests, and people are working on functional tests. So but that's a place to sort of do some testing that's beyond unit testing, but generally doesn't involve other services.
Yeah. Okay.
On this? Deborah, at least we updated with here's what unit tests should be, the idea behind unit testing, what functional tests are, and what unit tests are. There's nothing, no like instructions of here's how you start to write a functional test. I think that's more looking at what's out there already.
The other thing I found was like the sort of requirements as far as what you need to run functional tests versus Tempest. Like what other services do you need, kind of thing. I don't think we really document that anywhere. We probably should, I guess.
Yeah.
Sort of action item.
We need other services for functional tests.
I think the goal is not to need other services, right?
Yeah, I mean you need like if you're running Cinder, you at least need like MariaDB, RabbitMQ, something like that, right? Keystone, Glance. Well, some of the stuff we've got like somebody, I think it was John, was working on like stubbing out some of the other services with things. So it's unclear exactly what's been faked out, what you still need, what
So the idea. The idea at one point was basically just Cinder, Rabbit, MySQL, stuff like that, just the base, and anything that required Nova or another service like Glance or anything like that were things that you would actually that would be something that belongs in the regular gate, in the regular Tempest test.
Cool. Yep. I mean, you can do that like today. We don't necessarily need that. It makes it easier. Right.
Well, once again, we're chock full of ideas of what we can do, and it's just, so I don't think that's solving the problem. It's getting more time for this, right?
Yeah. So one thing maybe like tangible thing we can do is like in reviews we're pretty good about like you have to have unit test coverage, things like that. But I don't think I've ever seen anyone be like, hey, you need to add a functional test for this. Maybe we should for larger features, that kind of thing, right?
Should we update some of the different APIs?
Probably. It's on my list of things to do for RCI.
One additional goal. It's just toxins.
Yeah, because it works on that. Yeah. Should. Yeah. Nice.
Feature or something to conceive of what the functional test would be. Is like, you have the functional test that does this. That's kind of the way. The shortages of us making time to write tests for the way this test. Yeah, you need to write the test for transfers.
Right.
Which you have to do, right?
Relatively low effort on our part as a reviewer. Exactly. Did that right up until somebody asked me for functional test, and I changed my mind.
No. I'll let test. Right.
Total is what?
Yeah, there's not a lot. Anyway, we keep saying that. It's not going to change. Something else? Patrick, along those lines?
I don't think so. I think I covered everything.
We did touch upon how to run some type of active HA test in the gate.
Yeah.
I mean, my first instinct was NFS, and then someone else pointed out, why not SAP? Or John pointed out, maybe we could modify the LVM driver to sort of use these standalones so if you run on a second node. So there's ways to do it, and I guess it's going to be experiment around. Someone can go after, gets there first. Gets the other feelings or ideas. We want to come what's fast and what's easiest, right? SEP plumbing already in there.
Like, SEP's probably sort of regardless of the fact that it's the only one we can just kind of use right now. You know, the usage survey we had up yesterday, right? Clear indication we probably should be testing SEP for this kind of stuff anyways. So
yeah.
like,
and SEP is supported. Like, we have SEP expertise. SEP's going to work. People want it to work. Everybody, I mean, my company has SEP experts. I like SEP for this because of all those reasons. But
If it will be easier, we can also use GlusterFS, I think.
well, Eric said it was dying.
Is the cluster's going bye-bye, I think, right?
Yeah, we're not going to do a cluster. We're getting rid of it.
You and John were talking about the remote iSCSI stuff, right? Any
that no one has any real interest in doing that for production because
it would be like
it would make a lot more
just
sense
for testing,
stuff
right?
because John and Red Hat are both going to be hacking on that anyway for our stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it is, there's a lot more real world applications that can have people interested in it.
Well, just the fact that well, expertise.
The fact that what?
So, I mean, if we create something that's sort of artificial, then it tends to.
So I wouldn't create something artificial. My proposal is we actually, or I actually rework the LVM driver to be more like all the other drivers. So have the driver actually just talk over an interface to a remote another box. Now whether that box is local or not is up to you, but I wouldn't do it just for the sake of making a fake for a test. I think that's kind of silly.
I guess the question is, would anybody use it for anything else? I mean, would it be used enough to be maintained and have?
Yeah, it's number 2. Considering LVM is number 2 in the user survey every time.
Well, talking about a new LVM driver that's different.
I guess the problem.
Just inserting an SSH call.
Technically, it doesn't sound too difficult, but I mean, well, number one is John always seems to.
I just lost audio.
I'm just saying that can you hear us?
I can now.
Well, I'm saying that you do a lot of LVM work, and I guess Eric says he does some too, but it seems like it's an area anyway where people aren't putting a lot of effort into maintaining LVM driver, and so to add something new sounds great. I just don't know that it's got the people working on it.
Well, I'm happy to add it. Eric has done a lot of work on it, and then M. Tonino has did a lot of work for a while. So there's been a few of us that have kind of cycled through it. You know, the reality is we're a vendor-driven project, so people aren't going to work on it. I mean, I understand that.
Right. I mean, that's the main appeal to Ceph is people are already working on Ceph because all our customers want Ceph, and we all have to support it.
Well, okay. Well, then.
If you do it, I certainly will.
Well, I'm certainly not going to waste my time. I mean.
I just fear, you know.
Ceph is sufficiently different from every other driver, though, that it actually makes a fairly bad test case.
That's the problem I have with it. Is in terms of a reference or in terms of anything like that, it is completely unique. It does everything differently, and it's a great platform and it's a great product. It's a terrible reference.
No, that's understandable. Well, here's the thing is we'll certainly. So if that's worked on, that's not wasted time. And if you want to work on LVM, or we get LVM as a sort of a driver that you can connect to remotely and do some of the testing we want, that's good and desirable.
I think that's a good thing. I just think that if we do that, it's probably going to have to be a separate LVM driver, and we're going to have to keep the current one too because of the ease of deployment on single node, DOC kind of stuff, and development environments. Yeah.
I think. John, do you have any idea on the scope of like
I'll have to ask you to repeat that. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you have any idea on like how much work it is to do this?
So I started playing with this, and it was actually really easy. All I did was I pulled Falcon, which is a REST API framework for like a lightweight whiskey. And I don't know, that may not be the right one to use. I don't know. I was just experimenting. I just pulled that down, put that in front of the existing Cinder driver, and then have that running on another machine and accepting requests. And then I went over to another machine and stubbed out a driver to create a volume and just called that REST API, and it just worked. Ultimately, to Eric's point about having both, maybe not, I don't know, because the way I look at it is, if it happens to be 127.0.0.1, who cares, right? It's still, you can still use it the same way and install it the same way.
You gotta do authentication, you gotta set up the firewall, all kind of.
Well, I didn't do any of that, so I wasn't going to do any of that. Because, and the reality is most of the drivers in Cinder don't do any of that either. So, but that's a fair point. I mean,
we'd have to add support into like DevStack and DevStack Gate, all that stuff too, right? That's kind of the other nicety of at least starting with all that stuff's baked in already.
I think both are valuable.
Tooling to help out a little bit with doing like the LVM remote iSCSI thing, just because remote iSCSI stuff doesn't work. It's something that like our CIs don't catch, things like that, where it would be nice to have more coverage of something that looks more like our backend. So.
Well, if we're looking at that, let's just make sure we do look at target D, because it's a daemon that does that. It's written by the guys doing LIO integration.
Okay.
And it's probably not going to have all the features that we want, but it's a good starting point.
And we don't need a lot of things, right? Just to create a volume, take snapshots. Even snapshots are, debatable, right?
So I guess one takeaway, John, is it's not a waste of your time if you feel you have cycles to POC it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm here. So I mean, I'm happy to give it a go.
I think it'd be worth it.
But if we get bogged around, I'll write something up and put it out in a branch, and you guys can look at it, see what you think. I mean,
all right. Anyone have other test-related stuffs to bring up?
So there's the issue of
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Do we have a plan
to address that?
which features are you talking about?
Well, like volume manage. Yeah, there was a.
Well, that's an easy one to add.
Yeah.
I know, but there was a.
The hard one is stuff like CG.
Yeah.
Actually, I have some of them.
So there's a feature guide, right? That links to like CG times class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I added them. So actually, you need to add some snapshots. Right now, we have volumes, but snapshot.
speak into the mic.
Oh, that was everything.
I speed that over here. And that is actually what the base driver
We'll be using the it's actually not really fake. It's actually redoing it's the gate driver. So it actually will be creating volumes and snapshots. It's just basically testing the API, but using the this gate driver, which is derived from the LVM. Yeah, so it's actually doing some real stuff.
Well, I guess feel free to add to the main Cinder testing, even to add gaps that people know of, and that's the starting point. But actually getting someone to do it is the same old problems.
I think we have some patches and people targeting.
Yeah. The answer is you can feel free to add anything you want to that list, but we need to provide resources to do the work.
Sean, you're just gonna.
Everyone's whispering today, so.
Yeah. Somebody made us drink a lot of Fireball last night, so it's a little.
Was it not the White Russian?
I wonder who would have done the thing like that.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
I was leaving the room with the bottle, and Patrick said, "A little more."
Yeah, somehow I don't believe you, but.
So I was just saying that there's stuff on the list for fleshing out like the more esoteric features like replication, and Xing's working on the consistency groups, and I don't really tracked up here, but their tests will probably start showing up over time.
If we could run a coverage report, I'd be interested to see what areas we have no looking work on something. They know an area that they can focus on.
Yep.
I see volume managed, unmanaged. Pretty.
Well, that's kind of installed, but I am in theory working.
I'm teasing you. I think we have some ideas of what needs to be done, and there's kind of owners for most of these. So that's just the point of all this is to start there.
Do you have any features in mind that we should be
Well, I know
looking
the
at?
manage was broken at least a month ago, and it's caused us a lot of creep on our internal CI.
Well, no. Some number of months broken a feature and refactoring and didn't know it.
I forget where it comes from, the TC or something. It gets on the dev mailing list every now and then. Like, how about a stability release, or how about a quality focus, et cetera, et cetera. And, the idea is not that it's 100% of what people do, but I always think maybe we should think of that as a priority, not necessarily you, but bio is still thinking about it as we have to pick some priority items. We'll try to stick testing in there and then keep us focused.
And we get kind of end up in that way naturally anyway, kind of catching up to all of the things we've been doing.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen anyway, but I'm just saying we officially say. If we pick 10 things to prioritize, that's too many. If we say, well, we want to get X, Y, and Z in, that at least helps us say no to things, because that's what gives us the time to do things we prioritize, right? Anyway. What? All right, I just wanted to say what we kind of say every week.
The purple guys? Or the other team?
So these are the architects, and they're going to be to talk about the guys why they were already talking,
Especially before the
because they're probably
hangout, I thought it would be good if we could just make sure everyone has a baseline of where things stand.
So,
I can give a. All right, so multi-attach is still pretty much up in the air and halted. Ildikov has been coordinating this for a while. Scott's been working. As it stands, Nova, it's pretty much no op until we rework the Cinder APIs for the most part. John has a patch to review the attach process from Nova to Cinder. I have a couple patches in Nova to fix some bugs, really, but it's kind of related to multi-attach the whole entire API mechanism between Cinder and Nova. Nova is actually making some calls to check the internal states of volumes before trying to do an attach, which we're trying to get out of and doing, and Nova doesn't want to see the internal state of Cinder volumes, and it shouldn't, because we can change them whenever we kind of feel like it, and multi-attach kind of, well, definitely does that.
Is that controversial?
No, Nova in Austin. One of the things that they absolutely hated about the multi-attach idea is that they had to know what the state of cinder volumes were to determine if they can attach it again. So that started us down the road of looking at, well, how is Nova currently using cinder, and what are they currently doing with volume states, and the API in Cinder already today in OS Reserve already does some checks against the internal states of Cinder volumes before allowing it to go through. So why is Nova doing it on their side? It's
Nova
racing.
checks is okay. Then Nova calls Reserve for Cinder to set the state of the setting during time. Hey, so check the state first.
Just call Reserve.
And you check Cinder check the state. If it fails, it's Cinder.
Yes. Nova likes it. We've had lengthy discussions with Matt Riederman about it, and he's fully on board with doing that. And it's basically a bug fix currently, what we're looking at. And unfortunately, Nova does a lot of check calls throughout other processes, which complicates things on the Nova side. Surprise. So I haven't been able to finish that work yet, but I'm going to try and get it done before the last milestone. We'll
Were
see.
you able to track down all the different places they were?
I was able to find the other one, and I modified them, moved the check attach call, and ran the Nova unit test, and they started failing some processes. So it's a non-trivial task to do something so simple.
So when you ask, everyone agree, but there is sort of the radical idea of why do we care about Cinder's state of attached or not? One sort of possibility that it's kind of crazy and a big diversion. Cinder just gives you a way to attach and export, and you can attach or not attach, and you don't care. Because ultimately, Nova doesn't need to care. Nova can gate on whether or not we're in state attaching or in use or not, but Cinder can't control any of that anyway. So you still have this need for Nova to manage the state somehow, because Nova is storing this information in Cinder and then asking it if Nova can attach or detach a volume. We kind of, when this whole came up, brought this up, and I kind of have come to agree with him that, well, what if we just give you an export, let us know when you're done with it, and we'll clean it up.
So
use it, not detach.
Right. So the reason why Nova is doing a checking of the state at all right now, they want to fail early,
right?
Because it's really complicated past the API. So they want to fail early and often. So that's the only reason why they're doing a reserve and also.
So here's another way to do it. Nova can just keep track of that.
Well, Nova doesn't want to keep track of anything.
Hold on. So I'm really confused of what we're talking about at this point. So, I mean, the stuff that, Walt, that you mentioned, get Nova out of the business of paying any attention and tracking, done, agreed, 100%. That was the whole goal. So the stuff that I submitted so far that I started, that's kind of the whole point of that, is there is no more tracking on the Nova side or anything else. Everything is up to Cinder, and it's up to Cinder to respond to the call appropriately based on what the request is.
Yeah.
Sure, we need to flush that out and finish it, but so I'm confused. Now we're talking about, you know, back to, oh, have Nova do it and do this and do that. What are we doing?
We're kind of just raising the idea again that why does Cinder care? Why does Cinder need to keep track of any of this? We're a volume management service. If someone wants volume, they ask for it. When they don't want the volume anymore, they tell us they're done with it. Why do we care what they do with it? Why do we care if they attach it once or 10 times or ever?
Oh, well, yeah, so honestly, I don't think we should. But the caveat to that is, unfortunately, in order to make that work on KVM, KVM has to know that it's a multi-attach volume, right?
Yeah.
So And then on the other side of that too is there's some back ends, unfortunately, that don't handle multi-attach and won't handle it, and there's others that have to do special things to enable it. So if once you get to that point, you might as well just have all of the span of control be on the Cinder side, in my opinion.
So that problem of the backend not supporting multi-attach, that one is kind of solved already in the current code base, because you have to actually set the multi-attach enabled flag in your get volume stats. So that gets reported up to scheduler, and when you try to do an attach, it matches up the flag when you create the volume. It won't even allow you to create a multi-attach volume that gets that back in.
Sure, but that goes back to my point of then that information gets sent back out to Nova or whoever somewhere else, right? What I'm saying is there's no reason for Nova to give a crap about any of that, other than if it has to make special directives in the XML file.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
So Nova can today tell whether a volume is attached more than once or not, because the attachments along with the volume object when it fetches it. So it can correctly correct XML entries in the KVM or not, depending upon that. So I think we're in agreement with everything you're saying, John, and so.
The other thing we need to think about is, back to the discussion yesterday, people talk about how consistency and behaviors and blah, 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 but meanwhile we're talking about multi-attach and it just piggybacks on top of the existing attach, which I think is probably wrong. It almost seems like maybe that is another case that we need to talk about. That's an extension and somebody can enable it or disable it or whatever, but it's not a normal behavior because not everybody's going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Any backend, any vendors in here that have storage that can't handle multiple attachments?
Oh, well, in that case, never mind.
Yeah, I was just hearing about that.
It's possible that you haven't figured out what it takes to do. Well, that assisted snapshot is the tricky part.
If you want to attach them snapshots, might not work.
Yeah, because you're going to have to.
That would affect cluster and
Yeah, because if you're relying on Nova and Libvirt to do the snapshotting for you, you have to figure out how to do that. If they're going to do guessing and stuff, yeah, but this is just for any snapshots for these drivers.
Even when they're attached, right? But it's the same if you're using an XCOD volume or something, right? There's like the Nova assisted snapshot and stuff, right?
But that's the only way to do it on the NFS driver.
It's true, yeah. But I don't think there's a lot of. I think the majority of the backends don't do some special thing.
Well, the majority of the backends just work, I would think.
To do like crash consistent snapshots, yeah.
Yeah.
But for like the.
But I'm talking about just for like the NFS base NFS driver. This is just to do snapshots at all. You have this problem.
Gotcha.
When Quemu opens an NFS file, does it open it with ODirect?
I'm not sure.
Because if it doesn't, you have a whole other set of problems with NFS line caching, messing you up. Yeah, I could see there being issues with NFS and multi-attach.
So the thing is, the current mechanism allows you to disable multi-attach.
Yes, we could just say until we figure it out, we're going to say unsupported, and then if we figure it out someday, we can flip the flag.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems like a good flag to have.
Yeah. One of my backends may not be able to support multi-attach. Test it, so I don't think we've heard that, but I'm not sure about that.
So in the case that we can't figure out how to do snapshots with it attached, can we still enable it and then not allow snapshotting of multi-attach volume?
I think that's what you're going to have to do.
We could, but there's other potential issues that might make it bad to enable multi-attach. So you just have to test it and say, yeah, this actually works.
Right.
And then flip it on.
So sorry if that got confusing, but it seemed that we're going to rewrite the API, which we're doing, right? We're going to create a new attached API. I thought it begged the question, why are we, if Nova wants us to keep track of this state so Nova can use it, but why doesn't Nova just keep track of the state? That seems to be causing all these problems. And we don't necessarily want to track the state. Well, but we don't care about the state, so that why, it's kind of like, I don't really want to do this job, so Walt, you need to do it.
But we are tracking the state with the volume state. When we take actions against it. So we are.
I understand. I understand we have what we have now. I'm just questioning whether that's a good thing, because that's what causes all this complexity when you start doing live migration, shelf offload, because now.
If you don't track the state, then you're going to get yourself into trouble really bad by allowing other things happening when the volume is attached when you should.
Well, I understand, but Nova's the one that should be doing that, because Nova's the only one that can control it. All we're doing is keeping the information for Nova and giving it to Nova and hoping Nova tells us. And then when we add Ironic or we add a standalone Cinder, we got the same situation.
I think that's wrong. Nova should be asking for actions to be taken, and we should be responding with, no, you can't do that. Right? And that's the same thing with the change that we're doing now with getting rid of Nova from trying to check the internal state of, hey, can I attach this one? No, just ask it to do it. And Cinder will say, no, sorry, the volume is busy. I agree.
But it still means you must have well-behaved clients, and that as we move from Nova to other consumers, we lose the guarantee that the client's well-behaved, and we don't have the ability to control it as much. You can see Nova code, but
well, they do that now. They do it now because they want to try and be a good. They want to try and have a good interaction with who's requesting the attachment, right? So instead of failing at the very end after they're trying to call initialized connection, which is way deep into the process, they want to do it early.
They want to do it the API instead of.
The volume is in a state where attached is going to fail unless something changes.
But I'm saying they can do that by just asking Cinder, give me an attachment and export, and we say, sorry, you can't because it's not in a good state. That's the same.
That's the proposed changes.
So that's the same solution.
I think it's a lost cause.
We're too far.
That's fine. That's fine. It's worth bringing up because we're just about to make these big changes. And,
Cinder should be the one managing its own internal status of points. It knows.
Well, we're keeping that knowledge. We're not managing it. Others are managing it. That's the problem. We're just doing what someone else tells us to do, storing it in our database, and giving them that answer.
Maybe this is semantics, but your idea of managing it,
well,
mine, it could be.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying when we say initialized connection, we can gate there. I get it.
No, I'm talking about actually changing the state of the volume. That's what I'm allowing it or not.
Right.
I think the proposal that John has of changing the API for attachment is a great first step. The trick is, how do we get Nova to buy into it? It's going to mean a lot of Nova changes because they're going to have to support the existing API for attachments and the new one for some foreseeable future. And in order to do that, I think we're going to need some better testing. Concept of that.
So, John, how do you feel that attach change? Where does that stand right now? Does that need more work to get in a state that Nova would accept, or
so
what be done?
So the only problem with it right now, so there's a couple of things. Since I tried to make it work with the old calls, so there was no API changes, all that whole zealot crap of nothing can change ever, right? So that it would work both ways, regardless of what version of Nova you had, which is a good thing. So there's a couple of bugs there that would need to be fixed. But once Nova said, hey, it's not happening in this release, well, I moved on and went and worked on other things, so I haven't messed with it. So that being said, it's pretty close. It'll need unit tests and integration on both sides and everything else. It might be interesting. I sent you some notes on IRC. I was reading up on the branch stuff last night that John Dickinson sent out. That actually might be a really good way to try and do this if the Nova team would agree to it.
Yeah, I think if they're open to that, it'd be good if we could get branches created now, get it, and then as soon as Okada work opens up, if we have things in a good stable state, the sooner we can get this in, the better.
Yeah, and I'm fully willing to be on the hook for getting that in the first couple of weeks of Okada. I have no problem with that. But if it turns into a big pissing contest with Nova again, then I'm not gonna. Again, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah. And it seems if we don't get in the first couple of weeks, then we hit the deadline and it's too late. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem.
Is anybody in this room on the call? The call is full, Yvonne says.
Oh.
So if you're on the call in this group, he's active. Otherwise, I don't know what else you can do. With that
How many is hang up so well? How many people do we have connected? Okay. Oh, okay. You should be able to get in there.
He's sitting now.
Okay.
Cool. Well, so we already had on our agenda to discuss that feature branch.
So I'm hoping Nova's open to that. Our other option, if they're not open to that, well, I don't know what the best option is. We'll have to work with them to see how to get this through. All right. We have, we're meeting up with Nova. 11?
It is 11. 45 minutes. 11.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah, I guess, is there anything else to discuss about either multi-attach or the attach workflow or anything to be prepared for that discussion with Nova?
We're also discussing Privsep. We should discuss.
So there is a patch out there now. They're trying to hard code Privsep into rootwrap. Libraries. Yeah. So, yep.
That's nice.
So then we get around that whole config update thing.
Initially.
Yeah. So.
This is just.
Yeah, it's able to do that migration over from rootwrap to Privsep. Because as it is right now, we can't release OS Brick because we're waiting for Privsep to be able to go through Grenade, which.
Yeah. I have a patch in Privsep to change the default from warnings to bug because everything outputs as a warning is logged, which is warning. Is that good? No. No reviews. I mean, I think Patrick must look at it, but Angus hasn't looked at it. There's other problems with Privsep that I have filed about for as well. To be more compatible with the utils execute things when you get exceptions or errors in your command. Privsep always, and in the case of some things you don't get to output because it's in no still automatically output standard by default captures it and like lets you not do sale. So that's another issue. Just trying to it's kind of a dumb bug. If we get up at the meeting and say, hey, you know, if we're going with Privsep, we need to make sure we need to
move
fix some of these things, move it forward. And get
Have you heard anything from Angus?
No, I haven't. He's in New Zealand, I believe, so his time zone is difficult for Pacific.
Yeah.
I have a very short window. So we still operate on the hope that we're going to solve the Privsep problem. We're going to release, but do we need to light a fire under someone and say, well, we're going to release, and what are our options? We're at the mercy of that.
Well, to be fair, we did release, and upper constraints blocked it. So we have released a version of OSBrick with Privsep, and it's not usable because you can't.
Surely we have to have some time.
Yeah.
It's like, if this doesn't get fixed by time X, we're going to have to do something to make it fixed.
Yeah.
Like control.
So the rootwrap library, that's the land independent of the Privsep release, I presume, right?
Yeah.
So can we help that get through? And
Yeah. Actually, if people could test that or review it, I'll see if I can find that link.
yeah, if you can find that link and post it in here, I'll look at it.
Because if we can get 20 people jumping on that review,
Yeah.
hopefully that helps it get through quicker.
The same, if you can look at the Privsep apps that I have up to change the bugs, that would be helpful.
I'm kind of worried about that. I think there may be, I'm wondering if that's by design, since it's things that are running this route. I want to make sure that we have audit logs for stuff that's running through Privsep.
Well, just changes it to bugs, so you can roll the bug and see all that. But you want to see a warning log of executing iSCSI login.
And that's what happens with rootwrap now with the slugs.
Not as a warning. It's not
in syslog.
Every single thing that you call via sudo goes in the syslog.
Yeah. But it's not a warning in the log and Cinder log.
I know, but it's not going to be logged anywhere else. That's the problem.
If you have debugging on, it gets.
But most people won't have debugging on platform.
I don't see why you would want to have logging of iSCSI logins.
Won't you still get that in syslog?
Not just that, like, why you want to see where you want to check the fiber channel indicates every attack.
Right. Every attack. Yeah.
Your bot has a yeah, you won't have the sudo log, but you'll have iSCSI information in there.
I'm just saying there might be a reason it's done that way.
Yeah.
No one has expressed yet.
Do you have that patch?
Yes.
There might be that to add in audit log. Sort of separate things. That sounds good, but it shouldn't be in like
If you look at the Nova compute log for like the pure CI, because we're using the latest OSBrick, it's like you filter by warning, and there's thousands of them from a Tempest run. Like it's crazy. It looks like nothing worked, or like should have worked. But everything's fine. They're all like meaningless warnings. So, other than Angus, who maintains Privsep? Yeah.
So, is there any concern that like we're putting a whole lot of eggs in that basket and then just Angus?
I think it's actually the right way.
Oh yeah, but it's like, who's going to support it?
Well, there's already to get done.
Okay.
Patches are just sitting there now, and according to what we just saw, yeah, mostly Angus, Andreas, too. A couple.
Are other projects using it yet? Or are we going to be the first ones?
Nova's trying to, but it's everything is kind of jammed up on this grenade upgrade going from rootwrap to Privsep.
Yep.
Because according to the grenade rules, we can't change config files as it is right now. You got to change the rootwrap filters to allow it to call Privsep during the upgrade process. I don't know if anyone other than us and Nova are looking at it. Any other Nova related issues? Break and then take a half hour basically and